spam and scams, Apple shopping, and Silicon Valley Bank. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc, the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. Find out more at Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, even with daylight savings time, and this is MacVoices Live. Well, I think at least some of us are still recovering from the time change, but here we are. And if we operate by the clock, this is where we hope you are too, unless you're in Europe, in which case you're an hour off, and we're sorry about that. A lot to talk about tonight. So I'm going to go around the room and introduce who's here, and then we'll just take off because we have a number of things to cover. So taking my screen as I usually do, up in the corner of the angels, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you as always.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me. And it's always good to be here on a Tuesday night. Get away from the crazy stuff at work and here to talk about good tech stuff with you guys.
And come to do the crazy stuff here.
Yeah, it's good crazy.
It's good crazy. Okay. Joining us again, Mr. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs. Excuse me, Brian. Still got to get your name to roll off my tongue properly. Good to have you back. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me again. Glad to be here, and should be a lot of fun.
It will be. And we have something special in mind for you, but we'll tell him about that later. Yeah, he doesn't look scared at all. He should. Ben Roethig is here. Ben, good to have you.
Thanks for joining. God, I'm used to hosting myself. Thanks for having me, Chuck. It's good to be away and thinking about tech rather than the NFL free agency for a moment.
Yeah, which show are you doing right now, Ben? Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Jeff Gamet has arrived. Jeff, it's good to see you.
Chuck, it's so great you're on the show tonight. Ben, I'm glad you're joining us as well. We have a great show planned for you. Chuck, as always, I'm really happy to be here and amazed that you continue to let me on.
No, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I have to say that you not that you didn't look great last time, but you look like you're healthier this time. I assume the antibiotics have had the desired effect.
Holy crap. It's amazing, the difference. There's still the part where my energy is low and my brain is more muddled than usual. But yes, I'm among the living, and better living through medical science is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. I want to start off tonight with something that's new. I put this in the Slack earlier this week that I think we're going to start an occasional segment called, and I'm about to trademark the name, I think, Spam and Scams, because it seems like there are just all kind of new things popping up every way you can think of that folks are trying to take advantage of us. I wanted to share 3 tonight that just happened the last week to me. So this is 3 kind of new ones that I haven't seen before. And they may not be new to you, but they're new to me. The first one was that I got a text message at like 11 o'clock at night that my Amazon driver was having trouble finding my location, and could I please click this link to contact him?
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, other than the timing, I thought, because who doesn't have a variety of Amazon packages in the channel at some point? And, of course, needless to say, I didn't click and I wasn't even tempted, but I thought that's a really good one. So be on the lookout for that. Amazon drivers will not text you and not provide you a link to contact them, just in case you ever wonder. So just don't do it.
No. Yes, they will leave your package out in the rain and not care.
Yes.
Yes, they've done that to me, us, I'm sure all of us, plenty of times.
Yes, exactly. So that was the first one. The second one Didn't happen to me, but I read about this one, but I thought it was worth bringing up. That apparently, if you are a frequenter of software pirate sites, that there is an infected version of Final Cut Pro out there that you can download and install. And it will install malicious software right along with Final Cut Pro. So the lesson, I mean, that's not anything new. The lesson there, though, obviously is buy your software from the App Store. Don't download it off of pirate sites because you just don't know what else is coming with it.
Yeah.
Kind of obvious. The third one, though, was kind of the fun one. I think probably everyone here probably knows Gary Vaynerchuk. Mm-hmm. And Gary has said that marketers will ruin everything. Sooner or later, they'll get around to it, and they will ruin everything. This week, I got, at my work email address, I got a typical solicitation, hey, we have this great service. We think it'll help your business and everything. And oh, by the way, congratulations on MacVoices. Good job. Saw your discussion about the Apple or the Super Bowl halftime show. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. And the person said, hey, you'll have listeners here at our shop forever. Okay, that's fine. I didn't respond. A couple hours later, I was copied on another email that came back from somebody else to this person and essentially said, hey, good job on tying in the personal touch, but maybe move it to the front of the email instead of the back. So clearly his boss had looked at this and said, okay, good idea, but just be sure to lead with the personalization. And I thought, there you go. That's so they're now trolling LinkedIn and picking things up and trying to appear that they are personally interested in you. And if that that could sound very cynical if it had been for the first email. But after I saw the second email, it's like, no. This is just one more thing. So just be on the lookout for it, that somebody that seems to really be interested in you probably isn't. They're just probably trying to find that extra little nudge that will get you to respond.
Chuck, to ruin it for you even more, this is a long-standing and well-known practice in marketing and sales, where you research your target, and then you find something that you can include as a personal touch, and then you put that into the message, and then the likelihood that you'll get some sort of engagement does go up. Now, the boss that replied back and made the error of including you on the email. Well done, whoever that was.
Yeah.
They were right. Should have led with that. It's just, this is a standard practice.
Yes.
Yeah. So
also,
go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. Also, if you are a boss critiquing these kinds of emails, forward, not reply all.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. It just cracked me up. I mean, Jeff, I know that. I've seen that before, but I just hadn't seen it so specific to a LinkedIn post. That was the thing that really... That's...
actually, the big surprise for me is that hadn't happened to you yet, because LinkedIn is such a common place for marketers and salespeople to go to find stuff about you, so that they can respond or craft that custom message.
Yeah,
it is so common. But
I've got an inbox full of those kind of things. But this one just, again, it's just something different, at least for me. But it's worth calling out and saying, hey, just don't. I mean, look, if you're interested in their service, great. But just because they blow some sunshine up your skirt, don't pay attention to that. So
that's a fair statement.
Yep. Anybody else have any interesting or exciting things that have happened to them in the scam and spam arena recently?
Actually, when you brought up that with the Amazon driver, and how specific it was, and saying, 11 o'clock at night to send that to you. I was thinking, I wonder if it was sent a few hours earlier, during their normal delivery hours, if it would have, you might have not gotten tricked, but I wonder if others might have been more likely.
Brian, good point. And, who knows exactly how they did it. They may have just blasted out to a range, not really paying attention to where in time zone land it was. So, but again, it would have been real easy, no matter when I saw it, to click that and say, oh yeah, I'm waiting for something. Is there a problem? So just be on the lookout, because they are getting better all the time.
I can guarantee that was successful on multiple people in whatever list they were using.
Yeah,
I would agree, man. Yeah.
Chuck, I have another one for you. This is one that I've been experiencing off and on over the past several months, which tells me that my phone number was in some sort of database breach, or somewhere along the way, someone accessed a bunch of phone numbers. And actually, they don't even have to do that. All they have to do is automate counting through phone numbers. So anyhow, I've been getting variations on text messages that are along the lines of, "Hey, I've got your phone number. I think we might have met a few months ago, but I'm not sure." And anyhow, so it's a message along those lines, trying to elicit a response from you. Now, when you respond, now you have validated that you have a real phone number, and then the deluge of spam will start coming in. So if you get those rando messages, don't reply.
Yeah. I also, Jeff, I've also been struggling a little bit. I'm trying to get off of some email lists, and I've gotten to the point now where I won't use the unsubscribe function unless it is a large, reputable company that has, that has sent something. And otherwise, I'll just, well, in my case, I use Sanebox, and, just drop them in there and let it disappear. But do you have any thoughts on the unsubscribe function for the email lists?
The unsubscribe feature that's built into Apple Mail is supposed to be better, but I can't tell you why.
Okay. Just curious as to, because
but yeah, a lot of those email lists that just seem like completely random that you're on. Unsubscribing may very well just validate an email address that then goes into a database of known good spammable addresses.
Gary was right.
The best one is you get a text here. Your box of smartwatch. It says your box of smartwatch was shipped. Check here. And then I look at all these phone numbers that are listed here. There's like a bunch of phone numbers, and these morons continue to type stop, and I would continuously get frickin' replies because they think that's going to stop that guy from sending you another. Well, it's not even a guy; it's probably an automated. It says automated messages. It is anyway.
Yeah, it's a computer somewhere.
Yeah. But I mean, it was like for days. I kept getting messages because people were replying all to stop.
Dave, you just reminded me of one other thing that happened. I completely forgot about this till right now. But I was Saturday or Sunday, I was in the car driving, and I got a call, and it popped up on the screen as from mainland China. Okay, I don't know anybody in mainland China. Yeah. So I let it go to voicemail, and it ended up being a recording that said, "You have a message." And then the message was in Chinese.
Yep.
The voicemail message was in Chinese. Like, well, I don't know. I hope they didn't tell me I won the lottery, because I didn't understand.
Yeah, here's another one I was kept going back and forth. We missed delivering your box today. Select preferred timing.
Oh, yep. I get those messages a lot too.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance at Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. You're trying to find a cause for your symptoms. That pain in your back or the sore foot. Whatever it is, it's annoying and concerning. You stumble down a social media rabbit hole full of questionable advice from so-called experts. There are better ways to get the answers you want and the care you deserve from trusted professionals and not random people on the internet. Zocdoc helps you find expert doctors and medical professionals that specialize in the care you need and deliver the type of experience you want. Zocdoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. When you're not feeling your best and just trying to hold it together, finding great care shouldn't take up all your energy. That's where Zocdoc comes in. Using their free app that millions of users rely on, you can find the right doctor that meets your needs and fits your schedule. Book an appointment with a few taps in their app and start feeling better faster with Zocdoc. Go to Zocdoc.com/MacVoices and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's Zocdoc, ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Zocdoc for their support of MacVoices. Hey, we had a couple more members join us while we were engaging in this spam and scam. Eric Bolden is here. Good to see you, Eric. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, nice to escape work.
Nice way to say it.
Much more. This is so much more pleasant, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, we're glad. We're glad. And speaking of spam and scam, Jim Rea is here.
I am here to spam and scam you.
Yeah, I knew it. Good
and
to have
underpants.
You, Jim. Yeah.
You missed it.
Yeah, you were here for that part.
No, I supply my own.
That's a smart move, actually.
Well, I want to start out tonight with one thing that it was on all the news services today, and I saw this after I put out the piece in our Slack for the panel. So I'm going to throw this in. But Apple apparently has introduced a shop with specialist over video service now, where you can go online and you can actually interact with a real person to help you choose an iPhone. And the
That's
link
actually really smart.
Yeah, and I mean, Jeff, my first question is, why didn't somebody do this before? I mean, we know that you can get on in some cases with some companies on the phone, but why not interact with video so that they can show you exactly what you'd be getting and why? I love this.
And,
Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was just going to say, wow, this seems like something that would have happened in 2020. Not that it's
You
bad
read my
now,
mind.
but
Yeah.
That's Jim. That's what I was going to comment with.
I'm sorry.
No, you just validated me, so thank you. I feel like I can do a mic drop and walk out now.
We're actually the same person. Look, we're both wearing blue shirts.
We are. Underpants.
hardly tell you
See,
apart.
I sound just like Jim.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't apply to any of us, but I feel like this would be a great way for those people who come to you and say, which iPhone should I get, or should I get an iPhone? It's like, here, let me connect you with an expert and send them the link, and then let them go and let the expert, walk them through all the options and what they would want. And it's not going to be click through these 25 web pages or pick from these 30 menus. It's going to be, hi, I'm Joe, and how can I help you? So I like this a lot.
I can imagine using this myself.
Really? And Eric's shaking his head too. Really?
Oh yeah. Well, because if you don't have a scheduled appointment at an Apple store, you just go in. You're never really sure how long you're going to have to wait. If it's really busy, this would be great. You get a scheduled time. You don't have to go anywhere. You've got access to everything that they're going to ask you a question about. Oh, hey, do you have, and it works with this and this and this. Oh, hey, well, I'll get back to you. I'm going to have to go back home and go look, you've got all your stuff. It's right there. You can hold something up. You can hold up a drive or whatever and say, well, I've got this thing. What do I need to go with it? And yeah, you get all your answers. And I mean, I have to say, I've been really happy when I've gone into the store, but it's not right next door. So it gives more opportunities. I like that.
Yeah, and not only is the Apple Store not always right next door, there's a sizable portion of the population that is either an hour away or several hours away from an Apple Store. Those people, if they have a question, will go to their local big box or their local carrier store. Well, that kid might be an Android fan.
Or that might be
also,
what his boss told him to push today.
Exactly. So, I mean, plus, when it comes to a carrier store, Apple isn't making as much money selling those to retailers. So by making it easy to directly ask Apple, they have a chance to convert that sale themselves and get you their corporate talking points.
And you can then get add-ons of Apple Care as opposed to add-on of the carrier warranty, break fix policy.
That's a really good point, Eric. That's a really good point.
That's good.
Brian, go.
Oh, I was just saying, well, many of us are probably, we'll research a lot about the technical aspects of what the phone is and that type of thing. I was just reading here about, it's the Apple trade-in offers, carrier deals, financing options, things like that, I may not focus on too much otherwise, or, wouldn't know about unless I was shopping specifically for a new phone.
Yep, more good points. Yeah, you're right. You may not know about the trade-in options or what financing is possible. And I can also see, because this is being done virtually, if somebody's at an Apple store or is an Apple Store employee who's obviously been trained, there are work from home options here. There are opportunities for them to supplement their time. And it doesn't matter if I'm sitting in Pennsylvania, I can certainly answer calls from Utah and Wyoming and California and anywhere else, because it's going to be the same thing. The biggest question is going to be which carrier is available to you. So, yeah. Okay, I stand corrected. At least two of the panel members would use this. I hadn't thought about it that way. Okay, guys. So the next one I was hesitant to bring up because it seems like it's changing on an hourly basis, but I feel like we have to just touch on the Silicon Valley Bank thing. And I was hoping Brian would be able to be here tonight because, as an economics professor, I'm anxious to hear what his take is on the developments. And just for clarification, it's at this moment it's 8:24 on March 14th.
Yes,
in the evening.
Thank you, Jeff. In the evening. So if you listen to this later, that way you have to rewind the timeline to where we are now. Brian, it's been. I know you were away for the weekend, but it's been hot and heavy over the weekend. Any general thoughts on this? I don't think we need to recap what happened because everybody knows at this point.
Sure. Well, I guess one of the bigger takeaways that I was reading about in the story was how, with the FDIC insurance, our accounts that we have in a bank are secured and guaranteed safe, even if the bank fails, up to $250,000. And I guess the big takeaway was because of what such a large impact that this bank had, is that the FDIC and the federal government are stepping in and guaranteeing. I believe, and I could be mistaken, it's, like you were mentioning, the things, how they change so often. I believe all the accounts are going to be made whole by the federal government. And I think one of the big takeaways to think about is because it was such a relatively large bank, one of they call the super regional banks, it would create so much instability in the economy and the fear that other people might have, that's one of the reasons why it was covered.
I would agree. I mean, I know there were a couple articles over today's Tuesday, so I guess yesterday, where some of the regional bank stocks were tanking just because, guilt by association almost, that if you're regional, you may be engaging in some of these questionable practices or, not doing the management properly, or you've just gotten caught up in the current financial situation. And there does seem to be a fair amount of that in this story.
Right. From what I was reading, especially in the Silicon Valley Bank, apparently a lot of the securities that were bought prior to the interest rates increasing, and when they were bought at a fixed rate, and they tried to, they're on the hook basically for that money at now a lower interest rate than what's being given now. It can create a huge financial burden, which obviously way overwhelmed the bank.
Now, am I correct in what I'm thinking, which is that when you're doing the bond thing and the interest rate gets changed, and now you're basically upside down on that, and you have in this moment lost money, you sit on those. If you are diversified enough that you can cover these things, you just sit on them. You wait for them to mature, and now you haven't lost money.
I believe
they
so.
couldn't do that in this case.
Well, I think people were trying to get their money too. And I was reading one of the stories, just how much upside down that they were was huge.
I haven't seen that stated. Maybe.
And my understanding was they have assets larger than their obligations, but not short-term available assets. So, basically there was a run. They couldn't cover that immediately, but that doesn't mean there aren't assets. So, I keep hearing that, it's likely that a larger bank will buy them. And also you were saying that, so the shareholders will be, zeroed out, but not the depositors. And also I think, I don't think the federal government is going to, that's not where the money is coming from to, it's coming from other banks essentially, because the banks pay into this FDIC fund. So it's not taxpayer money that's going into this.
Right.
And the distinction I heard today, and I thought it was a really good one, that this is not to be considered a bailout. And not everybody agrees with this distinction, but it's not to be considered a bailout because the management of the banks are being fired because they were not managing well. And the second thing, what was the second thing? I lost it.
The shareholders are going to get nothing.
Right. The shareholders get nothing. You made an investment. It turned out to be a bad investment. We're sorry, but tough luck. So I don't know what the exact banking definition is of a bailout, but certainly some of the things we've seen in the past definitely did not remove management.
Excuse me. The interesting thing about this was kind of the timing. This was the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. In fact, it was so large that 2 days later, Signature Bank, the third largest bank failure in U.S. history, happened, and nobody's talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not inflation adjusted when you say largest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's by deposits.
Right, but if you adjusted for inflation, that's probably not the case.
Correct. I mean, it wouldn't have probably the same adjusted value of Continental, Illinois, or what's that one in Washington Mutual? But still, that's a lot of money. And especially considering this is a bank in Silicon Valley where a lot of the tech companies keep their money, this could definitely have some short-term impacts on the tech sector.
All right. So, because you know how I am, I'm like, yeah, Jim's got a really good point. Let's figure out what the deal is. Here's the deal. I just dropped a link into, I should drop it into the YouTube.
I don't think you
chat.
can.
You can't, Jeff, unfortunately. You can try.
Too late. Just did.
Doesn't work.
Didn't show up.
Boo. All right.
Yeah,
So here's the deal. Let's see. So the largest failure let's see, with assets at time of failure, Washington Mutual, then Silicon Valley Bank, then Signature Bank. So there you go. Now, adjusted for inflation, Washington Mutual is still significantly more than Silicon Valley Bank. So Washington Mutual would be $368 billion, and Silicon Valley Bank is $209 billion, and then Signature is $118 billion. And then next after that is Continental Illinois Bank and Trust, which in 1984, that was $40 billion. Adjusted, that's $104 billion.
Okay, so the part, and Ben danced around it a little bit, that I'm most interested in here is what does this do to Silicon Valley from a banking perspective, from an ability to do business perspective? Now, the good news is that none of the banks, the ones that popped up on the news, I think the first list I saw was Meet the Press over the weekend, and leading the charge was Roku, with, if memory serves, at least at that time they were saying $480 million in the bank.
25%.
Was it? Okay, yeah. So, I mean, in a normal market environment, this would appear to create a lot of opportunities for folks to come in and fill in and do what Silicon Valley was doing, Silicon Valley Bank was doing for the tech environment. I don't know what kind of regulations are going to be implemented, and certainly there are going to be some shareholder examination of the situation and how management was handling this. But what's everybody think about that? I mean, is how much this going to hamper the startup environment of Silicon Valley, at least for the short to midterm?
A lot. When you had all those banks fail in 2008 and 2009, credit limits got real conservative for a time. I think you're going to see something similar where everybody stops, looks at their own assets, and may not give out those riskier loans.
Risky loans, that's a good point. SVB was known for taking chances on startups that other banks likely would not have. In many cases, that definitely paid off for them because they were taking part of their payment in shares, and so the bank was making money on a lot of these startups. My guess is that what we will see is that a lot of banks, especially around the Silicon Valley area, will now start paying closer attention to their diversification, because the thing that made SVB so attractive to so many companies is also the thing that I think ultimately became its Achilles heel, since everything that it was doing investment-wise and customer-wise was technology. When they didn't, or when something went wrong there for them, then they were not in a position to be able to cover that with the money that's flowing in and out through the other types of businesses and customers that they could have been dealing with. So I think we'll see a lot of these banks make a concerted effort to be more diversified now. Even though the SVB model for a while looked like a really good thing.
Yeah.
Brian, thoughts on this from this angle?
I agree. You figure because of this huge collapse, there's going to be so many eyes on this company. And I was just reading here, I guess HSBC UK may have acquired them too. So, I mean, you're going to have so much spotlight of what's going on. And so you got to imagine the risky loans that may have been there in the past, and then even from maybe some of the other banks that were much smaller, even with or without the regulations that'll come down right away. I agree. Yeah, it's not going to be a lot of, it has to be a very sound loan, I would think, for it to occur.
This MacVoices Live panel is back next time to finish up our conversation about the Silicon Valley Bank situation, and then take a look at a service that is integrating ChatGPT, and it isn't Microsoft. That's next time on MacVoices. I'll see you then. As always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.